Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another GEB America podcast. I'm Dave Groves, your host today from the studios here at GEB in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And hello to everybody watching all over the world, our friends on YouTube and pray.com. And for those of you that are listening, got a real treat for you. For those of you that are on YouTube, you're going to see some little clips here as well, promoting what is probably one of my favorite groups that is still just doing, I say tearing it up. And we're so glad to have John Cooper here from the band Skillet.
Guess I'm alone around the crowd. Oh, mama, hey, yeah. Guess I'm the one you've been talking about. Guess I'm the one you've been talking about. Unpopular, call me outcast, outcast, simple and true facts.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the speakers and not necessarily those of GEB America, Oral Roberts University, or their employees. This program is not intended to offer investment, financial, medical, legal, or any other advice. Viewers should consult a subject matter professional regarding any such matters. I want to just thank you for taking the time. I know you guys have been touring and you're preparing for the album release. Thanks for being with us, John.
Oh, it's great to be with you. Yeah, we're on tour as we speak. You know how it goes. You release a record, you're doing everything at once, and it's all happening. But we're pumped up because we're excited about the record. Can't wait for the fans to hear the full album. You always get that anticipation, that adrenaline. That's what we're feeling right now.
Yeah, old radio guy that I am, we used to say, in stores 11/1, but
yeah.
available online 11/1. The new album is Revolution. Tell everybody what went into that process. For those that don't know, you guys went indie from Atlantic with this project, and what kind of went into the writing and really creating just another great Skillet album.
Well, we did go independent for the first time. So for people that don't know, we were on Atlantic Records for the last 20 years, had a great relationship, learned a lot, had a lot of success with them, a lot of very, very smart people. We just felt it was time to go on our own. And what it did was for me, it just liberated us to going, man, we can make the record that we want to make without having a bunch of cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's not even critical of the way it was. Sometimes you need that. But I think we're the place where I go, I know what our fans like, and I just want to make it. I want to say what I want to say. I want to write the lyrics I want to write. And also another thing that's happened, because culture's shifting so fast right now. I mean, everybody knows that. If there's something that is on your heart, that you go, this is poignant, I want the world to know, I want to say it right now. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than writing that song and then not releasing it for 2 years. It's like, in 2 years, think about what was happening 2 years ago. I mean, it's insane. So I wanted to be able to write something. There's something on my heart. I want to get it out. And I want to get it out now. And so we did that. And I think that it just made for a really exciting record. It's a poignant record lyrically. I think I feel like it's a record lyrically that's got to be heard now. And it's got a lot of energy on this album.
Man, I've been really privileged to get to hear the album, been listening through the tracks, going back through some of them. Your first single's Unpopular. Talk about that song, because that is definitely poignant to the culture, poignant to Gen Z. But even, I'm a Gen Xer, still at the same time, I'm like, yeah, man, it's easy to be pulled into this. I just want to be accepted by my peers in the work world. Talk a little bit about that song.
That's a great. So the song Unpopular, people need to go and get it now. You can go and you can pre-order the whole album, skillet.com. You can pre-save the song, etc. You can go listen to Unpopular and see if you like it before you buy it. The reason it's so poignant is because we're living in a world that has lost its mind. And sometimes I go, wait a minute. I'm the normal person. I'm the normal me. And what's really crazy is that I have a lot of friends, most of the people that I tour with they're not religious. They're not Christians. They are not, they don't believe in the same politics they don't see the world the same way I see the world, because I believe in Christ. I believe the Bible's real, right?
Yeah.
But my friends, actually, we kind of agree on a lot of stuff. They also think the world has lost its mind. Some of it, I think, is this weird cultural divide. And so I just started going, okay, wait a minute. And I hope you don't mind if I get just a slight bit. This isn't even political. It's just cultural, but it's some people are going to say, you're getting political. I don't think I'm crazy for saying, hey, I don't think kindergartners at public schools should be learning about sexuality and gender at all. At all. Do not talk to the kids about this stuff. Well, I don't think that I'm the crazy person, but we're told that we're bad for saying that, or you guys are Christian nationalists, or you're some kind of kook, or whatever it is that they say. If you're saying that I'm unpopular, then today's a good day to be unpopular. We are not ashamed, and we don't want to be accepted that badly.
Well, I think one of the things, and I actually posted this the other day on X, is to be Christian is counterculture. And I mean, Jesus always kind of said that, you'll be persecuted for my name's sake, and we know that in the word it says to be not weary in well doing. He warned us, but and there have been times certainly, and there are places in this world right now where Christians are truly persecuted and killed for their faith.
Yes,
and we know that, and I think that though in our Western culture, we've always maybe had some things that people would make fun of you. Growing up, I remember kids would be like, "Oh, I can't believe you listen to what is that, Christian music or whatever."
Sure.
And there was always some mockery. But now, full sections of what I would consider as core beliefs. I mean, people would be mocking, and when I was a kid growing up in the '80s, but they didn't say, things like the crazy stuff like you're saying is that children in public school, young children should have probably their parents teach them these things.
Yes.
Instead of that, and that should be the right of a parent. I mean, why are we even having to debate this? But it's become get shouted down. You're an awful intolerant person. And I've got kids that are Gen Z. I got a couple of Gen Alphas coming up. What do you think with this new album? You're not just your target, but what message did you specifically want to put in front of your fans?
Mm-hmm.
And for those that just love, they just love good rock music.
Right. Well, I think there's a few messages. I think the overall message, the record's called Revolution. What is that revolution? It is not political. It is not militaristic, God forbid. It is not violent, of course. It is not yelling at people. It is a revolution of love. That's what the Bible says. Faith, hope, love. The greatest of these is love. These things are going to remain. So how do we move forward in a culture who does hates us in a way that we were not hated 20 years ago? That's just true. In a way that we were 10 years ago. How do we move forward? We cannot be silent. And I think that's part of this too. So loving people does not equal just shutting up. and I'm never going to talk about Jesus, and I'm just going to let the world do whatever they want. It's not my business. I'm going to sit at home and worship God and just accept people. No, I don't think that's the answer. We have some great freedoms in this country. We have the freedom of speech. We have the freedom to assemble. The government is not allowed to tell us when we can worship God, how we can worship God. The government is not allowed to say, you can't talk about Jesus on your social media platform. That's not constitutional. And we should take advantage of that. We should talk about our faith. We should share our faith. We should live out our faith. I think that one of the big things is realizing we need to have compassion for people that don't know Jesus, because they really are just given over to delusional thinking right now. I don't understand what's going on, but people really have sort of lost their minds to a degree that they have traded good for evil and evil for good. Like it says in the book of Isaiah. And so they are looking at us, and even our good works for Christ, they are beginning to think that those are negative things. Just to use the one example we have already, I would say that it is a biblical principle that as a Christian, I am supposed to stand up for those who are too weak to stand up for themselves, for justice. Mm-hmm. Well, that would include children at school. Just to go back to the example we keep quoting, I think we have to stand up for these little ones. That we're supposed to protect them. God gave us that's what parents are supposed to do. And so that is a righteous thing to do, yet we are being called evil for doing so. So I think that Christians, we have to wake up, understand the times that we're living in. That's the world we're living in. And what another thing that I want to say to Christian young people is this: we need to get prepared to be hated. And that's okay. I think that it's, some people won't agree with this, but I just think that we've grown up in such a great country. I think America was founded on amazing ideals, and it was such a great country that we've never really been persecuted for our faith. It's actually incredible. As you said, people are dying for the faith right now in other countries. We don't die for our faith in America. And so in some ways, when we talk about persecution, all we're talking about is getting made fun of or getting hated. And I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying, would you rather get made fun of or would you rather be killed? You know what I mean? So I think we have to realize those are the times we're living in. You got to be ready to understand people are going to hate you for your faith. Our Lord and Savior Jesus said to his disciples, he said, hey, don't be surprised when people hate you. They hated me first. So that's okay. Now we can take that, and now it changes our position from a defensive position to an offensive position, but it's an offensive position with compassion and with love, and to understand that the devil, he's done his work well. He has deceived a lot of people. So we don't hate those people, but we do believe that they are caught up in some really bad things and Christ can set them free. So that's kind of all those messages, I hope, are in this album. I hope it encourages people and it gives them strength to be bold for their faith. That's what I really hope.
So let's talk a little bit of a technical thing, because I'm curious about this. I know, how do you, in now over 22 million sold and all the records, what is it now, 12? Is it the 12th? Am I correct?
I think it's 22 million now, which is
22 million, but 12. You guys have had 12 releases.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said something else. This is our 12th
have
release.
You sold 12 records, John?
We've sold
I think
12 albums. We've sold
12 albums. So no, what I want to ask you is how do you go about structuring or creating a song? Like the four of you, is somebody, hey, I got this riff, I really like this. Hey, I've been writing these lyrics down. What? Tell me about your process.
Yeah. So my wife, Corey, and I write most all the music, and it's always different. Sometimes I will feel, oh, I've got this lyric in my, it's like, Unpopular was like that. I had the unpopular, blood. I had that. And then I said, that's the melody. Let's figure the music out later. Sometimes my wife is a really great, in music business, they call it bottom line. That just means the track. That means the music. So it doesn't have melody. It doesn't have lyrics perhaps, but it's the music. She's amazing at bottom line. So she will come up with these amazing riffs, and I hear it and I go, oh yeah, we can do this together, and we write. But sometimes, there's a song on this album called Ash in the Wind. And it was a song that she wrote the bottom line for. I wrote what we call the top line, which is lyrics and melody. And I came to her with the top line, wrote it. We were about to sing it, and she goes, hey, I have a new idea for that chorus. And she rewrote the entire chorus top line. And I was literally about to sing the song, and I said, wow, that's better. We're using yours. So you never really know. It can change at any time. The biggest thing as being a Christian is that you want to write something. Let me say this, as a musician, let's take the Christian part out if that's possible. Every musician wants to write something that they feel, something you believe. You want to be authentic. This is what I'm feeling in the moment, and I want to say it. As a Christian, you still want to do that, but you have this added most important thing. Am I saying something that is true? Is it good? Is this good for people? Or God forbid, is this bad for people? As a Christian, you want to say something that's true, something that honors God, and something that's going to help people. I want to make sure that it's authentic. I want to say it the way I feel, yes, but you're saying something that's true, something that honors God. I want it to help people. I do not want it to hurt people. And I'm certainly not saying that I know that I haven't done that always perfectly, always well, but that's the goal. And I continue to say, okay, God, is this the way you want me to say this? And hopefully I'm saying it in the right way. And I feel like when we finished this record, I just felt I am so excited about this album. I love the lyrics on this record. I just think it's a record for now, so hopefully that'll be the case.
Did anything happen differently because the fact that this is, it's on you guys, you're independent, right?
Yes.
As far as how you create, like, hey, when you're working on these songs, you're like, yeah, like you said, we're not going to have to wait forever for this to get, put together, released, let them get everything together from a PR standpoint. But so did that alter how you did it?
It didn't really alter it, except that it made things go much faster. So in other words, wrote the first song for this album less than a year ago. So we wrote the whole record, recorded the whole record, and announced the album in less than a year from the first song. Usually it takes us 2 to 2.5 years to do that. So the good news is just, I've found that what you end up getting is a lot of people trying to make your record better. Everybody means well, and sometimes it does. Most of the time, I would say it doesn't really make the album better. It makes lateral changes. I'm not sure they're better or worse. They're maybe different. And you do all of that. It adds a lot of work and another year onto the project, but really without any benefit. So, I will say, thankfully, in the past, I have not had people say, John, those lyrics are too Christian. We got to change them. No, you can't do that. No, you can't say that. I haven't had to deal with much of that. Which is wonderful. And I've always felt the freedom to be myself, but this was very liberating because this record just is so Skillet. I don't know how to explain it. It sounds like Skillet. The lyrics are Skillet. Everybody's going to hear it and be like, oh, that's like the album they want to make. I think that people will feel that way.
In that process of recording, you guys were touring. I mean, I know what big trip down to Australia. I mean, so you were not only wrote and recorded an album in a year, and now working on the marketing side of it. You guys were all over the planet.
Oh yeah, we did Japan, Australia, came back. My daughter got married, and then we went straight to Canada, and then we started touring in America. I mean, it was a very, very busy time. But again, I think because we were able to do things the way we wanted to, one of the cool things is that I didn't have to go through a 6-month or 8-month process of talking with the label and getting all this different advice on trying to work with this producer, or let's try it with that person or that person. It was like, oh no, I know who I want to work with. I want to work with people I have already done stuff with. And so I called Brian Howes, who produced the Comatose record, and Seth Mosley, who has written a lot of songs with us, and Feel Invincible and The Resistance and whatnot. And I said, this is going to be a great song for you to do. Let's do it. So you're able to make these decisions. And I think it's really important because you got to stay relevant, and things are changing too quickly now.
Now, over that career of 3 decades, really, you learned a lot about how the industry works, obviously, kind of grew up in it. I think you and I are close to the same age. When you're looking at singles, how is that now? You're involved in, hey, this needs to be our first one. This is the track that needs to go out to rock radio first. How has that been different?
That's always tough. This time it was like, okay, I've got a group of people that I trust, my manager being one of them, the band. I think we get a pretty good idea. And it just felt unpopular, just felt like the right song. It's not even that I would say it's necessarily the best song, or the, on the record, or even my favorite. It just sounds like a radio song. It's like this, you hear it, it gets stuck in your head. And you also have that feeling like, have I heard this before? That's usually a really good thing. When we wrote our biggest song, which is called Monster, years and years ago, Monster had that same thing. Like you hear it and you go, man, it almost sounds familiar. Do I know this song? And it's ubiquitous. Unpopular was like that. But Unpopular also had the added elements of the lyrics. It's like a theme song because Skillet has become known for saying, or I have become known for saying these really polarizing things that I'm so dumb. I don't even know they're polarizing. I just say them and I assume that everybody's going to agree with me. And the next thing I know, it's like I'm all over all these music sites. I'm getting bashed. People are telling me they hate me. I'm getting death threats. And I'm going, I just thought this is what everybody believes. And so Unpopular is kind of like a theme song. If I was a wrestler for like WWE, I'd come out to Unpopular. That'd be a good theme song.
It'd be your walk-up music.
That's my walk-up music.
Baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
Come out. Yeah. The music video, for those that haven't seen it, go to YouTube, search Unpopular by Skillet and watch the music video. There is part of that is you have banners in the stadium with, I assume we're like, what, Facebook and Twitter, X.
Yeah.
Quote of people saying things like, "You guys are terrible. We hate you." And it was kind of like, it's kind of like, "Hey, this is what is said, but I'm okay being unpopular."
Yes.
If this is what it means. I love that.
Yeah. Some of these banners, I mean, social media is just such a pit. It's just a horrible pit to hear all the worst things and lies and slander, attacks of the enemy sometimes, hatred, vitriol. I just encourage people, don't spend time looking at comments on social media. Don't spend time on social media. It's not the real world anyway. But you get these comments, and I thought it'd be cool. When you go to like a baseball game or a rodeo, they have these big banners for, Coca-Cola or whatever. And we thought, well, why don't we have some of these banners with some of these hateful things that are said? Your music's terrible. Unfollowing you. I hate you. You're a has-been. We put all these things up. I thought it was kind of quite funny.
Yeah, that's going to hurt you so personally that you got unfollowed.
Yes, that's right.
It. I'm out. So one more question I want to ask you about is it kind of ties into the overall message of the album. How much did you writing the book that you released personally, talk a little bit about your book, and then now obviously in reading through the lyrics of the new album, Revolution, it feels like it's obviously a passion that you have to, as it says, when it came to Unpopular, that it's the anthem for a new generation of truth tellers. The one thing that, if anybody knows this about John Cooper, you speak your mind and you tell the truth. Talk about how that book and then the album kind of maybe had a correlation.
Yeah, well, thank you. So I have two books, and they're both written since 2020, and they're both written really from the same impetus. They're kind of about two different things. One is called Awake and Alive to Truth. The other one is called Wimpy, Weak, and Woke. That one is the one that is kind of quite controversial, but the impetus was the same for both books. We're living in a time of postmodernism, of relativism, where people do not know what truth even is. So because we're living in this time of relativism, people don't know what truth is, etc. I just felt that I needed to be open about some of these forces trying to tear down Christianity, trying to tear down America. Yes, it's anti-American, but really what it's about is the end of Western civilization. And why? In the end, I believe, through the research I did, that it is because the world hates the message of Christianity. It hates Christian civilization. And so I wanted to write this saying just to warn people, to say there's a reason that we are living in a nihilistic culture that says that nothing matters. There's a reason that you're feeling so much depression, loneliness, almost like there's nothing to live for. Almost like there is no God in the world. So does anything really even matter in the end? All of those forces are at work, and we are seeing it just play out. And it's even seeping into the Christian church, to where some of these ideas from the world that are super destructive are coming into the church, trying to reshape the faith. I think under the guise of, sometimes with good motives, where people say, hey, we got to be relevant to the world. So let's take in some of their philosophies and show that we also, love some of these things, but it's having really, really destructive effects. And so I wanted to write the book just to say, hey, we're going to have to realize you're going to be hated for Christ in the 2020s. That's the way it's going to be. What are your choices? You can either compromise or you can be a truth teller. Yeah. And we are called to be truth tellers.
That's good. Well, the new album comes out 11/1, Revolution, and it is a Skillet album through and through. John, I got to tell you, I've loved listening to it, and we just hope that it is their most successful one as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Blows up on radio and downloads, and we definitely want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule and the touring and all that's going on to talk about that, and also to just talk to our listeners, those that, they love good music. They're not ashamed of their faith. Maybe they're just, like you said, they're just kind of maybe struggling a little bit with what's going on in the culture, and to be encouraged. That's one thing we try to do with our podcast, is just bring a message of hope and be encouraging and lift people up. Let me ask you one more question. What would you say to somebody maybe just stumbled across this? Maybe they love good music. They're big. They, like you said, unpopular sounds like a song maybe they've heard before, and they've stumbled upon this podcast. What would you say to those that are listening for the first time when it comes to giving God a chance, not believing the culture's lies, and knowing that, hey, the truth is in who Jesus is?
Yes. I probably would just say this, like, just take a look around and answer for yourself. Do you think that things are going better in the world, or do you think that things are going worse in the world? That's probably say, is there more depression, less depression, more addiction or less addiction? Are people actually happier? Do you think that things are veering towards hope, or are they veering towards violence and despair? In my estimation, it's going all the wrong way. And I would just say, does that mean something? At the same time, we have a culture that is rejecting God, rejecting Christianity, rejecting the Bible, God's created order, the way that God tells us how to live in the Bible. And I just would say to them, do you think it's possible that there's a correlation between rejecting the way that God tells us how to live and the despair that we see everywhere we go? That's probably that. I would say start there and consider, what if there is a God who created everything? And if there is a God who created the world, created you, does it make sense that he knows the best way for you and me to live in the world he created? I think that's a start for Christianity. I think at that point, you open up the Bible and you start reading. You start reading the very beginning of the Bible, Genesis 1. You see about how God created the world, that he is a God who is involved. He knows your name. He knows everything about you, and he wants a relationship with you. That's where I would tell people to start.
Well, thank you again, John. Powerful. The album is just a great album, and we're excited to see where you guys go. And if you have a chance, and you are, no matter where you're at in the world, really, to go see these guys in concert, it will be something that will not disappoint. I've had the privilege of seeing you guys a couple of times, and I would just encourage people to go to a Skillet show, and definitely grab the merch and grab the album when it's downloadable. And go right now to the links that you see below in the show notes. For those of you listening on Apple or you're listening on Spotify, I've got links there for Skillet and ways that you can actually get to the album and pre-order it. And we hope that you do. John, thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Peace, guys.